All right. Just really quick before we begin, if you could do your best to answer in complete sentences, that'll be great. If you forget, no big deal. I'll probably just remind you. And
Okay.
then once you get used to it, we'll be good to go. Also, I might leave a little bit of leeway time, or what we call dead air, between your answer and my next question,
Mm,
and that's just for editing purposes. So when I
okay.
don't go directly into the next question, it's not that you like said anything wrong or anything like that. It's just for editing, so Eric
Okay.
can edit. All right. So the first question that I have for you is, what is your name and how are you associated with SSC?
Okay. My name is Keyanna White, but I do go by Marvelous. But everyone in class calls me the General.
The
So
general.
yeah.
Here, hold on. Let me adjust your audio a little bit. It's a little low. One more time, can you tell me your name and how you're associated with SSC?
Oh, okay. So my name is Keyanna White, but I go by Marvelous. But everyone in my carpentry classes call me the General. How am I associated with SSC? I'm a student here. Currently picking up a trade in construction carpentry. So
Tell me. So you said that your nickname is Marvelous, but the guys in your construction class call you the General.
yes.
Why? How'd you get that nickname?
Um, Funny story. So when I was taking building 101, like just me personally, like I'm always one to like motivate people. Like if you're doing a good job, like one thing about me, like like when I'm doing jobs or odd ends or whatever, like I always grew up like, if you're doing something good, it feels good to know that you're doing something good, especially like when you're learning something new. You always want, to know that like you're going in the right direction. So growing up, that's just how I was. Like if I see someone doing something or I see something that I like, I'll compliment you on it, or I'll tell you like, oh, just look, okay, I'll compliment you on it, and then I'll tell you like, man, I like that, like that's what's up. So like when I'm in class and stuff like that, like going into construction, like actually going into the class, like it was like extremely exciting for me because this is something that I always dreamed of doing, but it's just like I kind of put it on the back end, but now I'm actually doing it. So it was just like every time I went to class, I was just like always excited. I'm like, yes, like what are we learning now? Like man, we finna finish doing stairs, we finna learn attic and roof, and it was just like so when the guys came, it wasn't like I don't know. It wasn't a lot of like enthusiasm or like, like I could tell it was late at night anyway, so I could tell like a lot of guys didn't want to be there. So, I was like, come on man, like we got this. Like you gotta be here, might as well make the most of it. So like when we're in building 101 or just in class general and period, I was like we'll be building and stuff like that and well, the teacher, he used to always say like I was always the one to take command. Like he used to break us down in like little groups, and instead of being the one that's just like, well, who wants to do this? I'm like, okay, well, I know how to do this, so I have volunteers. What do you know how to do? Like you just keep it rolling, keep the job going and stuff like that. And then also like when we're doing it, I'm like, oh, that cut is crisp. Like yes, and then you see that now, girl, yes, do that. Like just pumping them up, making the job scene, well, the class scene, just an enjoyable one and just getting everybody at ease and stuff like that. Because when we first came to class, it was just everyone's like, I don't know you, I don't know what I'm doing, tap the nail, tap that. Like, no, girl, you gotta tap that nail. Like, come on, get into it. Like, this is something that we're gonna be doing for the rest of our lives. So why not, if you're gonna mess up, you might as well mess up here. You have teachers to correct you, and this is, it's always gonna be a learning experience for all of us. So the general, because the general is like the big man in charge or in power on the job scene. So he was one day I literally walked in class and I was late. And then he was like, oh, the general's here. And I'm just the general. Who was the general? So I sit down and the whole class period, like I'm still like not even realizing that he's talking to me. Like he's talking to me like general. And I'm literally looking at him. He's looking dead at me. And I'm just like, who are you talking to? And like the whole class is just dying laugh. I'm like, what's funny? Like, who's the general? We got a new student? And they're like, no, that's you. I'm like, my name's Keyanna. Like, he was like, no, that's your new name. I'm like, why? And then he told me and I was just like, okay, it makes sense. All right. So yeah, that's how I got the name the general.
That's a solid nickname. Yeah, I kind of wish I had a cool nickname like that.
It's
Yeah,
pretty decent.
I'm jealous of that. Let me go ahead and check audio over here really quick. Okay, cool. Make sure we're good. Everything sounded good. You look great. This is going really well.
Okay.
So the first question that I have for you, I'm just going to jump right into the questions that I need you to answer, and then we'll kind of go back and answer some of the other ones I wanted you to talk a little bit about. The trades I know is generally a non-traditional field for women.
Mm-hmm.
So why do you think women traditionally haven't chosen roles in this profession?
Because of stereotypes and stereotypes placed onto the female body. So like traditionally women weren't the ones that were the breadwinner or they went out and things like that. They were the ones that stayed home, clean, or did more feminine things like raise the kids or like garden or like just if it was promoted that they were quote unquote allowed to get a job, it wasn't something that was so hand on and like dirty, air quotes. But now like being at that, it's still like being enforced in us as a kid, even as we grow up, it's just something that, in the back of the mind, you still like, oh, that'd be cool. But, it's not, it won't be seen as, something that I should be doing, or it'll be looked down upon. And that's for one reason why myself, I kind of put what I wanted to do on the back burner because, peer pressure is a real thing. And then also what your peers and your family members think of you, that actually matters. Even though we want to say that it doesn't, at the end of the day, it does matter. But for me, it just got to a point in my life where I wasn't miserable, but I knew for a fact that I was spending all of this money going into a career or a future that it wasn't going to please me. It was basically to please my family. And I remember talking to one of my friends when I was in college, and it was just a horrible day. I had failed my nursing practice. We had both failed our nursing a nursing test. And it was just like, I studied so hard. I've been up for 4 days straight, like literally have not been to eating, haven't been to track practice, had just literally just focused on passing this test. And I failed and I'm just like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. Like, I just know, like, I just like doing hands-on things. I like being involved with people. And so she was just like, like she just pointed out some of the things that like when we had in class, like the cadaver. I hated the cadaver. You know what a cadaver is? Yeah, I hated the cadaver. It was just like, it was just like, oh, I'm not going to touch that. And it was like being that the fact that it was like a live person, like this is someone's body. It's just like, you mess up, it's just like, it's kind of disrespectful because you're like, but they donated their body to science, but it's just like, that's one thing I always hated. And then it just got me thinking like, this is something that I like, but it's something I'm really passionate about. And so then that's one of the reasons I changed my my majors. And then after that, I just, more research and, I began to go into these groups where it was like, it's called Awakening. Our school had a spiritual vacation called Awakening. And I actually was tricked to go on to one, but it actually turned out for the better because it actually taught myself to, be more keen with myself and actually listen to, what I really want for myself and not care so much about what others want. So that's one reason after I graduated, I was like, my family had what they wanted. Now it's time to make me happy. So that's one reason I did go into trades. And even though I would talk about it for a long time, like years and years, every time I brought it up to my family friend, they were like, why do you want to do that? Like, you're a girl though. I'm like, okay, what does that mean? Girls don't do that. I'm like, says who? Like, why? And no one can actually give me an actual answer. It's just like, we just don't. I'm like, okay, but who put these stereotypes into place that a female should be expected to do this? Like, why can't we cross over? Like, it's 2019, 2018 now. Like, why can't we do things that we want to do and not have to worry about others looking at us some type of way? So that's one reason, like going into construction, like when I actually signed up for the class, like I was extremely nervous. I was just like, oh my God, I really did it. Like, it was like mind-boggling, like mind-blowing. And then the first day I went to class, it was just like, I'm here, like, yo, this is real. Like, this is real life. Like, and then, when I first went to class, it was kind of intimidating because like, it was me, myself, and it was two other girls. One of the girls, she was like extremely girly girl. I'm just like, okay, like she had a full face of makeup on, eyebrows done, hair on fleek. It was just like, okay, I know she's not finna get dirty. And the other girl, she was more like laid back, but you like after we started working and stuff, it's just like, for a fact, like she in this class just because, just to pass credits, but not because this is actually something that she's passionate about. I'm sorry, what was the question?
No, it's okay. The question was about the trades not being a traditional field for women usually, and why you think women haven't traditionally chosen a career in this profession.
Well, yeah, because of that, and then also because like a lot of the times we're told to, shoot for the stars and, dream big, and you could do anything you put your mind to as a child. But then as we grow up and, we go to middle school, we go to high school and things like that, things that isn't seen as norm, things that even if you want to follow your own path, it's seen as weird and you're bullied for it or you're mocked for it or you're talked down about for it, you're belittled for, wanting to be someone else rather than the normal person that, works the 9 to 5, or, goes to working back home. But instead of like following what you really want to do, follow your passion, something that makes you happy instead of making other people happy. That's one thing. And then another thing, like I said, the stereotypes. The stereotypes are real. Like a lot of people don't really believe that, stereotypes, can stop people from doing things that they really want to, but it does. And I feel as if those are the two major things. And then, once you do something that's not, seen as the norm or isn't really spoke highly upon, it can really affect your decision to, either, to either further your career or, choose another career. And then those are two things, that I would say definitely having an impact. And then, family, friends as well. I come from a family that are very spiritual, religious people. So, they were like, okay, why do you want to go in this? Like, that's not girly. And I'm just like, okay, like, why does it have to be? Like, they were like, well, no, pick something else. Like, that's a lot of work. I've never been afraid of hard work. Like, okay, give me another reason not to go into it. Okay, give me another reason. Like their reasonings for not wanting me to go into it was more based off they were scared or nervous of what other people would think of me rather than what I can actually do and accomplish while going into this field. So that's one thing over last year that I actually sat down with myself and I asked myself, what exactly do you want to do? Like you're a female, yes, but you're black, yes, you're a minority, and you have all these things pushed against you, but that doesn't have to stop you from prevailing. Like if this is something that you really want to do, why allow what other people think stop you? And I was telling my friend the other day, she's actually want to go into welding, and I was telling her like, bro, like if you want to do this, go ahead, do it. Like you are young, like you have your whole life ahead of you. If you get into it and you figure out this is not something that you want to do, you can always go to original college, you can go to a community college, you can always do anything else, go to a 9-to-5 job. Like it doesn't really matter. Like I'd rather you figure it out now while you're young, you have your whole life ahead of you, and then be 98 years old, close to your deathbed and be like, man, I really wish I would have did this. Or be miserable because you're working a 9-to-5 instead of doing something that actually makes you happy. So, yeah.
Good answer. I think I might hear your bracelets. So, yeah, I'm sorry. Okay. You could just, if you want to throw it maybe over in that area. Perfect. And then, no, you're doing a great job. Okay. Yeah,
if I'm talking too much, you're not just...
No, I prefer having more to work with than less. Okay. So, no, this is good. So one thing that you mentioned during our phone interview is the reason you wanted to get it into trades is not necessarily to prove a point about women, but more so to prove to yourself that you can do it. Can you kind of explain that and what your goal is while coming to South Suburban College? Like what your eventual goal is?
Prove a point to myself. So I'm a twin. So growing up, I come from a family of 8. My sister is the oldest, then there's 4 boys, and then it's me, and then it's my twin, and then it's a younger brother. So out of the 8, there's only 2 girls. So, growing up, I was always, I wouldn't really say I wanted to fit in, but, I remember myself wanting to have fun. Like, I remember my mom used to always dress me up in like dresses, like the church dresses, with the bows and stuff like that. And I remember this, she used to always buy me Barbie dolls and stuff like that. And I was only allowed to play inside the house or on the porch, away from the dirt. And it was this one time, it was my brother's name. We had this huge backyard and they were playing in the backyard. And I was just like, you know what? I don't want to play with Barbies anymore. I want to go play with them. I want to run. I want to, exercise. I want to do this and do this. They were climbing trees, jumping. I was scared to jump fences. I ain't gonna lie to you. But they were climbing trees, just basically enjoying being outside and being a kid and being out of school. It was like summertime and we were on summer vacation. And so I remember just walking up to them and I was like, I want to play. And they were like, you want to play tag with us? I'm like, yeah. They were like, you're going to get dirty because we're going to push you down. I'm like, okay. That's fine. So yeah, it's true to their word. We started playing tag and I was running and they all came after me and pushed me down and I was like, okay, that's cool. I skinned my knee or whatever, I cried a little bit, won't cry, won't lie about it. But I remember myself getting back up and I'm like, okay, I still want to play. And they kept trying to intimidate me to the point where like, you're a girl, you don't need to be doing this. I'm like, okay, but I want to have fun. Okay, but I want to have fun. And so like I remember looking back over my whole childhood, like whether it be bike rides through the neighborhood with my brothers and the other neighborhood kids, like the other boys and stuff like that, just wanted to have fun or just wanted to express myself and just be a kid, without all these barriers. Like, yeah, you're a kid, but you can only do this, this, and this. Like, why can't I do it all? So that's one thing looking back that actually inspired me to, do this. And then just okay, so the point of proving it to myself. So one reason I was going into, when I went to college, I was going into nursing, but I was actually double majoring for nursing and teaching. Those two things is because that's something that, when I was younger, my mom and my other aunties and cousins, they were like, oh, you'll make a good nurse, because you're always doctoring up your brothers and them. But the real reason I would doctor them up is because I knew if my mom got home and she saw that they were hurt, we all were going to get it. So I'm like, I know how to put a Band-Aid, put some witch hazel, do this, that. We're going to fix this before mom find out. Nope, I'm not getting a whooping for you. So, they saw that passion. It wasn't really a passion, but it was just like something I enjoyed doing, caring for people and like being involved with people. So, listen, you should be a teacher. You should be a nurse. I'm like, oh, okay, started looking more into, maybe that is something I can see myself doing. So, I went to school for it. I actually took classes in high school for it to just push the waters and see if this really was something I enjoyed. It was, but it wasn't something that made me happy. It was like kind of like a hobby, you do it for a little bit and then you're just like, okay, what's next? So being that that's something that I always wanted to do or told myself that I wanted to do because other people told me that's what I wanted to do. When I went to college, I'm like, that's what I want to do. But it wasn't until I got into college and actually took actual nursing classes and began shadowing people in like nurses in hospitals and things like that I was just like, you know what? Maybe this isn't for me. Maybe this is out of my league. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. And, then it was just got to a point where you're in college spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for what? Like, you're not happy. You don't like going to class. You don't like doing this. You don't know these words. Like, there's no motivation other than the fact that other people wanted you to do this. So why are you still here? Why are you still doing this? And so it was a point in college where I wanted to drop out because of that. I was like, I feel as if, falling in the stereotype of the environment I was raised in, it wouldn't be bad. Graduated from high school, with a GED. I was trying to just like keep it in my legs, but like when it gets to a certain point, like my nose starts to dribble.
Mine. Yeah, my nose was running in there as I was recording, and then it dripped, and I was like, oh, hopefully nobody's stopped. Anyway, so the question that I have for you, the next one is, you told me a little bit about your pre-SSC college experience. Can you tell me how your college experience, going for your bachelor's, differs from what you're experiencing now at South Suburban?
Okay, so my college experience. Pre-South Suburban at St. Xavier, it is different compared to South Suburban, being that, South Suburban is a community college and St. Xavier is a university. So it differs a lot of ways, but I think the main reason it differs is because I'm only at South Suburban when I have classes. So majority of them are at nighttime or, like out here in the field. Out here.
You're good.
Okay. Out here in the field, so I don't really get to interact with other people unless they're in my class. But at St. Xavier, being that it was a university and I was able to live on campus, and I was there for 4 years full time. I was able to learn a little more about the campus, adapt better. But South Suburban, being that I only have a certain amount of classes and they're only for X amount of time, it's just like it's different, but I think it's because more so different to me because I haven't had time to like really experience the college community campus there, being that I'm not there, or just learn some of the reasons why people go there, just get the actual feel. I think it's these gloves because dust is flying. No, it's not. No. Okay, so. I would say that's one of the things. And then another thing is at St. Xavier, they actually compare because at St. Xavier, the classes were small. That's one reason I picked St. Xavier. But as far as teaching, it's different because, it's a trade school. So, it goes more in tune with, what you're supposed to be learning instead of, I didn't have to take gen eds because I'm a advanced student. Because I already have a bachelor's degree, but it goes, the teachers, they actually, jump right into it. While at St. Xavier, like other universities, they might be educated in their field, but, you don't really get the hands-on. And that's one reason why I went to South Suburban over other classes, because I knew for a fact I'm a visual learner. I needed something that I can see, something that, I can do myself. And someone when actually in the actual field, and I'm doing it, I'm like, oh, what was on that PowerPoint? No, I actually know how to do it. And that's one reason that I don't really like colleges, because, paying so much money to read off a PowerPoint, I could have did it for free. But yeah, that's one reason. And then another one is, it's kind of small. It's really smaller compared to St. Xavier, but it is a community college. So yeah, what would be another thing?
That's right. Can I have you say at the private four-year university I went to, just so it doesn't sound like we're bad-mouthing St. Xavier.
Oh, yeah.
So if you could say, just all you need to say is, at the four-year university that I went to, and then that's all you need. Whatever you're ready.
At the four-year university I went to, that's it?
Yeah, because I'm going to take everything where you said St. Xavier and just say at the four-year university that I went to. Or can you say at the private university I went to,
Yeah. At the private university I went to,
Good.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, just so it doesn't, I just don't want to make it sound like we're like bad-mouthing them or anything like that.
No, I didn't like the school, so yeah.
So can you tell me what you're working toward now at South Suburban? I know you're working toward your certificate, but can you tell me the name of the certificate you're working toward and what your eventual goal is?
Okay, so I'm pro-Black, so everything I do is for the beneficial of my people and also my family. So what I'm working towards is getting... just had a brain fart. Okay. So right now I'm on track to graduate. Well, I don't even know if you should say graduate.
Get my certificate.
There you go. Get my certificate in home renovation in this May. And then after that, I'm actually thinking about taking summer classes for real estate. So I know like all the odd ins and outs when it comes to housing. I just want to basically teach myself all the ins and outs when it comes to housing. So if anyone has questions or something like that, I'm able to teach them or refer them to someone that I know has more information about it or will be better adequate to, tell them. And then I also plan on coming back in the fall to get my home improvement. So that has like the plumbing, the electricity, goes more into depth and things like that. While the home renovation tells you how to, basically teaches you how to demolish. There you go. I was trying to say demolition. Demolish a house and then how to basically fix it up.
Gotcha. So the certificate that you're getting right now is called?
Home renovation.
Okay. Can I just have you say, I'll be receiving my home renovation certificate from South Suburban College, and then you can say May or whatever.
Yeah. So I'll be receiving my home renovation certificate from South Suburban in May.
Perfect.
All right.
Which is this month.
Yes.
So that's awesome. And then you're going for real estate cert, right?
I want to. That's depending on how the funds are, because I went to a four-year university already. All my financial aid is done for, so I've been paying everything out of pocket, which has been kind of stressful. I won't lie, but you can't put a price on something that you're passionate about. You can't put a price on something that you know for a fact that this is something that you want to do for the rest of your life. And a couple of $1,000s compared to thousands of dollars I'll be making in the future, I'm like, a penny to a dime, I guess that's okay. So yeah, and then after that, I plan on fixing and flipping houses for low income housing for minorities, and then after that, I actually plan on starting a business to teach second offense offenders, basically give them a second chance. Because once you go to jail for any offense or you place a felon. It doesn't even matter if you are actually convicted or not. If you are said to be guilty or wrongfully convicted, like a friend of mine was, by law, when you're filling out applications, things like that, you have to say that you were convicted of a felon, and then a lot of times people won't hire you unless it's a warehouse. But I just want to give them a second chance or give them something else, give them another way to make a living. And then with real estate for me, through my research, it's something that, it's hard work. It's you wake up, you go to construction, and then you go home, and it's very draining. But I like it because, it's something that you can see your work progressing and see yourself doing. And, you look back, when we first came to the house, it was just oh, okay. And then we did demolition, then, did piping and wiring, things like that. But now we're looking back, me and my friend actually today, we're like, yo, we did this. We did this whole house. Just it's a boost to your self-esteem, and just to know that this is something that you actually can do. And then, not only have yourself be proud of yourself for doing it, but, your younger kids looking up to you, they can be proud of you and like, I want to be like my dad, that's always what they say, or I want to be like my mom. And, it gives them something else to think about. And it basically gives them a second chance to, actually redo their life and the path on their life, and, give them another reason not to be in the streets or not to, do illegal activities to make ends meet. So
you've got a really good head on your shoulders.
I would think so.
Yeah, you totally do. So I look forward to seeing what you do after you leave SSC. Because you sounds like you're.
It's a lot, but so if you know anybody that can, help me out with that, that would be
Absolutely.
greatly appreciated.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, that's great. Another question or another thing that you mentioned during our phone interview is that the construction. You came to South Suburban originally when you were at Thornton
Township
High School. You kind of got lost and you came across the construction classroom on a tour, and you said that moment when you saw that classroom was something that always stuck with you, even when you went on to your 4-year university. Can you tell me about that? Tell me about that experience coming to South Suburban College and seeing that classroom when you were in high school and kind of how it stuck with you.
Okay. So when I at Thornton Township, was the high school I went to and graduated from. They have this thing. It's like a career day. Well, not really career day, but college day. There you go, college day. And basically, they take, seniors on to like the surrounding colleges. So being that South Suburban was in our district, that's one of the places they took us to. The class I was in at the time was actually, well, it was a class for, preschoolers. So it was basically a teaching class. So we're here on a college trip. And I remember we were in this little documentary room where the lady came in. She was telling us about the college, or, she was talking to us about infant milk, actually. And it's just how, how it can be safe for the babies and stuff like that. And that was really boring. So, I had to go to the bathroom, but I was just like, should I hold it? I'm like, no, I just want to escape. So I was like, where's the nearest bathroom? And the lady, she was like, oh, you go this way and that way. I'm like, oh, go all the way around the world. That's cool. I'll find it. So what I was planning on doing was asking the student or anyone I saw like how to get to the bathroom. When I did that, they misdirected me. So I ended up in the basement. I did not know where I was. I just knew I took flights of stairs up and down, and then I just ended up here. So I took a hallway that was not dark because I didn't want to go down a dark one. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm by the downstairs. I don't know how to get back for real. So I remember just walking, and, while as I'm walking, I'm seeing people in classes and stuff like that. And it's just like, oh, the typical college, I had been on a couple college trips already. So just like, the typical. But I remember coming down a flight of stairs, and right in front of me, it was like this big, wide window, 2 big, wide windows right next to each other. And when I looked, it was posters on front of it, and it was like construction posters, like people actually, the frame of a house actually. That's interesting. So I remember myself looking into one of the classrooms, and it was tables in the front, and then it was like a model of a house, a mini house in the back. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's really interesting. And on the other side, the light was actually off, but it was actually like a big, like half of a house. And I was just like, oh my God, this is really cool. Like, I didn't know they offered that. Like, this is really cool. So then I went back and I read the poster that was smack dab in the middle of the window. And I'm like, oh, building 101, you can take, this could be you. And I'm just like, oh, okay, all right. So, I'm like, oh, probably should get back. So I started walking back, and my friend actually came and got me. But that's something, I was like, did you know they offer this there? She said, yeah, but why would you want to do that? I'm like, I don't know, I think it's pretty cool. Like, you never thought about it? She said, no, I know what I want to be. I want to be a preschool teacher. I'm like, oh, okay, girl, my bad. So, so then I remember like sitting into the rest of the lecture, and then I remember, thinking a little bit of it after that, but then, for the rest of the day, it was just like, oh, it was just a class. So then when I went to St. Xavier, and I started to have like doubts about my career and like what I was actually doing in nursing, if this was really something for me, and I started asking myself like, what do you really want to do? What was something that made you happy? What can make you happy? What would make you, something that for a fact you can do for a long run. That's one thing I always thought about. I didn't think much about it, but I was just, community college, if I do drop out, I know for a fact I would still go to college. South Suburban is down the street. I could just pick up some classes there. But it wasn't until like I started doing research in college about like real estate that it actually crossed my mind daily. Like, this is something that, I can do, why go to Arizona State when it's something close to home, And so I started to think more about it that way. And then, I just finally, just like, I'm gonna do it. So, yeah. And that's how I got here.
Cool. So I'm going to have you say, so at the university, so that way we don't have St. Xavier anymore.
Okay.
All I need is, so at the university.
Okay. So at the university.
One more time.
So at the university. Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah. Good.
So you just want me to say university instead of saying?
Yeah,
okay.
If that's okay. Just because
cool.
I just don't want it to come off like we're bad mouthing them or anything. Not that there's anything wrong with the university and that sort of thing.
No, I hated the university, but
I know, yeah. Let's see. Oh, so what was it like to finally be in the classroom that you saw on your tour? It
was actually mind-boggling. Like, it was crazy. Like, I remember walking down and had my book bag on my back, and the way I came in, I was so lost. It was so crazy. I was so lost. And then because I came through the front, and then it was the big opening for South Suburban. And then I was just walking. I'm like, oh yeah, I know how to get. Stopped in the library. I'm like, hey, do you know how to get to this class? I'm a new student. She's like, oh yeah, you just go down these stairs and get up. I'm like, okay, thanks. So, I'm walking, and then this girl bumped into me, and she was like, hey, do you know how to get to this class? I said, no, but that looks close to the class I'm looking for. Let's look for it together. So, we're wandering the halls. The class had been going on for 10, 15 minutes now, and I'm like, oh, we're late on the first day. She was like, oh, this is not good. I'm like, yeah, I know, but so then I actually walked her to her class. I'm like, hey, this is your class. And she was like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, now how do I get to mine? She's like, I don't know. I'm like, what? So the door was actually locked, so a security guard actually came to unlock it, and then I was like, hey, do you know how to get here? You're like, oh yeah, you're literally down the hall from it. I'm like, wow, story of my life. So he walks me down, and he taps on the door, and we walk in. He's like, hey, you got another student. And then Chief, I call him Chief, he's like, oh, all right, take a seat. So I'm like, okay, this class is huge. Like, oh my gosh, like. It didn't really dawn on me that was the actual class that I had saw until the next time I had came, and I found my way the way I was supposed to go, and I saw the big poster again, and I was just like, yo, like, this is the class. Like, I was just like, wow. Like, so then, like, when I was sitting there in class, taking notes and things like that, it was kind of frustrating because I was like, this is something that I want to be in, so I need to take notes on everything. But he was like, he pulled me aside because like after he saw like 15 pages flying up and me just making scribbles and things, he was like, you don't have to write everything down, just write the important stuff. I'm like, everything's important. He lets him, trust me, I'm gonna repeat it. I got you. I'm like, okay. So that's one reason why I feel as if like when I was in the class, like I was always decided. It was times where I didn't want to be there just because I wasn't feeling good, or it was late at night. It was a late night class, and I was just like, oh, I just want to sleep. But when I did come, I walked through the doors, and I started working and stuff like that. It was the feeling always left. So.
And then what do you think is the best part about the program so far? You mentioned to me it's like all the hands-on and real-world stuff that you're learning while rehabbing the house, and also you said working with Eugene too. So can you tell me about that experience?
I think the best part about working in these classes is that we actually get to work in the field. So we know exactly, like, rather than the nursing classes, that I was in at my old university, we went to class, and then, we had these huge books, and it's basically you taught yourself the body and, the ligaments and things like that. And then we came back to class the next day, we rehearsed them, we revised them, and things like that. But here in construction, being that we're actually on site, you learn right there, So if you have a question, you can always ask right there. You don't have to wait till the next day. You don't have to, be afraid to, be like, excuse me, I got a question, because he always makes sure you got it. And then, even if you are afraid to say it right there, like when we're in group lectures inside the house that, you kind of are confused about something, when we're split up and we're doing our little things, he'll see that, you may not have it, or that's be the time where you can ask him, like, what did you mean by this, or things like that. And I think that's like one-on-one hands-on is like the best type of training, because for a fact you got it. And if you don't have it, you can always the teacher's right there to teach you, to make sure that you have it before moving on. While in a big class setting, that's not always the case. So that's why I think the best thing about these classes is that they're hands-on and the teachers are friendly and they want you to succeed and they want you to actually know what you're doing before moving on to the next step.
Speaking of, I know you said the teachers are friendly. What I loved is you kept calling you Jeannie.
Oh, Jeannie? Yeah.
I love that you call him
it.
that. Like, it just shows that you guys are like tight and you're close to him like that and you feel comfortable around him. Can you tell me a little bit about him?
Like why I call him Jeannie or just him, period?
Just him.
He's actually, like, when I first came to the class, I was kind of like, okay, let's do it. Only girl in the class. It kind of was like, no one else that looks like me, like no other girls. But then, you get over that and just like, this is a quote unquote male dominated, career, even though like a lot of women are taking it over. But, when I first came here, he wasn't really like the typical teacher. He was like loud and like not really aggressive, but he was just like right there, while the other teacher's like, okay, I don't really care if you got it or not. Like, I'm just here for the paycheck. But he, like, the first vibe I got from him was like, yeah, I get a paycheck, but I want to make sure that you're not messing up my house either. So I'm going to actually teach you what you're supposed to know. And yeah, so we're going to progress together. And then like, this one thing. And then another thing about it is like, he shows us like, he calls it ways not to do the job. Right. So if he makes a mistake, he was like, so I didn't mess up. I'm just showing you what not to do on the job. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. So even though like some of the things may not be, I don't know if you should put this in there, up to OSHA code.
I won't put this in there.
Okay.
I'm not going to put this in there.
All right. So even though some things may not be up to OSHA code, it's actually, I feel as if they're good to learn because, sometimes like, especially with this house, it's on a slant. So a lot of things we were doing like in the attic or in between the walls, like you had to like basically go against the code to, figure out how to do it to make it connect the way it should and make everything run properly. So he lets them, don't tell anyone I taught you this, but I'm gonna show you how to do it. I'm like, okay. So everyone gathers around, it's just moments like that where, he just makes sure that no matter what happens, something important comes across, and instead of just doing it because we're behind schedule or we're running low on time, he just wants us to make sure like if you're in the field and this is something that you come across, this is how you fix it, instead of just like wasting hours and hours on time trying to figure it out. And he tells us all the time like the best experience is learn from others' mistakes. So so that's one of the reasons I feel as if like he shows us like ways not to do a job, right? And then I just feel as if like today, like when we're doing electricity, I started to curl the wire the wrong way, and I was like, oh no electricity, nope, I'm not gonna get electrocuted. So I turned it back the right way, and that's the little things that they may not make a big improvement right there, but when you're actually in the field doing the job, you actually still hear his voice in your head telling you like, oh, no, that's not right. That's not right. Okay, yeah, you get it. And so, I think those are good things also, good attributes. And then also like, he's very happy and lighthearted. So like, a lot of people, guys that came across like in the construction, like in class and stuff like that, like I don't want to really call them stuck up, but they're just like, I'm better than you. Like it's just like you're a female, stay in your place. But with him, it's just like, all right, you're here. You're just another guy on the team. Come on, we finna work. You want to know something? Ask me, or I'm gonna tell you. Things like that. Instead of like, okay, I'm gonna give you like the girly stuff to do with the least amount of dirt. Like, nope, you're here. You showed up to class today. You finna get dirty. You finna know how to do this. Like, and it's just like at first it was just like, but it's just like, this is something you're going to do in your field. So when you get out there and you get a union job or you're flipping houses or you're doing things yourself, no one's going to take it easy on you. They're going to expect you to show up and do the work. So you can't go and request and be like, can I get the dustpan and just dust for 8 to 10 hours? Like, no, girl, go get that hammer, go get them nails and build that wall. Like, so it's not really that he's hardcore on us, but he's hard enough and soft enough on us that it makes a difference,
That's a really good answer. Can you tell me where the house is located that you guys are working on right now and some of the other things you did in the house just briefly?
So the house is located in Park Forest, and then some of the things that we have done thus far in the house. So we did demolition last semester. So it's a 2-semester course, so it's like a year-long remodel. So last semester we did demolition. So we took out all the cabinets, we took out all the furniture and things like that. We tore down the walls, and then we had to clean out the attic. Oh my God, that was the worst part for me. Oh, so glad it's over. So glad it's over. Another thing we did, we actually did the siding. We learned how to do the siding. We learned how to do gutters, and we learned how to do, we actually built a roof. It was a flat roof at first, and we had to make it a gable arch. So, that was really interesting because we actually learned, it took a long time, but, we were just starting out. So once we got the hang of it, it was pretty decent. We also did shingle removal. Wasn't really a fan of that. So glad we finished. And then what else we do? Drywall, we did siding, we did, I keep forgetting the name of it. Oh, keep on off there. So we've done a lot of stuff. It's just so much that we've done, like I forget some of it, but like it's so crazy because like after like the first month or the first couple of weeks of taking the class and actually working in class and like in the other class learning things like that, like I'll be riding down the street or, driving or walking, and I'll see these houses and I'm like, oh, that's what this is, or this is that, or, this would be actually better if this had this, or, oh, that's not up to code. If they do remodel it, they got to, you got to change all of this. Like, nope, that is not good. And then like, just like when I dream about like what my dream house would be, actually, it's so crazy because up to like a month ago, I didn't actually have a dream house, but then my niece, my 3-year-old niece, leave it to the kids to ask these huge questions. She's like, Auntie, what is your dream house going to be? I'm like, I don't know. I didn't really think about it. So actually, like when I started like imagining my dream house or what I actually wanted my house to be and represent, the fact that I would know how to do it, build it bottom up, that was really amazing to me. So, yeah.
Awesome. I think that's pretty much everything that I wanted to ask you. I know that this looks like a huge question, but you actually answered quite a few of them all in one. Can you tell me, outside of SSE, like what are you up to? I know that last time I talked with you on the phone, you were like working 3 jobs and all that stuff. So tell me what you're up to outside of SSE, and if you have any advice for those that are in the community that are also, like working as much as you and, going to school.
Okay, so yeah, last semester I actually was working 3 jobs, and I was a full-time student with a full-time job and then 2 part-time jobs, as well as caring for my nieces and families. But it's nice to say that, it slowed down a little bit. So now I am actually just landed a new job yesterday, actually. So yay, congrats to that. But as of now, actually, so yeah, that's the one job I have. And then I actually started back up my photography. So, just thinking back to the things that always made me happy, or I knew things that I was good at that I knew for a fact I wanted to continue. Carpentry was one, and then photography was another one. So yeah, go check out my page called Marvelous Memories. Okay, book you a shoot. And then, just spending time with family and friends, just, making the most of every day that I'm given. And then I'm still currently looking for a job. I have been applying to a lot of carpenter jobs, things like that. But being that like I'm still an apprentice, only 1 year of work, a lot of people don't want to hire you because it's just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna hire you and you mess up. But it's just like, no, take a chance. Come on, you don't know, take a chance. But yeah. Then what else? Am I here? I actually, yeah, like I said, then sometime I actually plan on taking the real estate classes here at South Suburban. And then after that, I want to go and take the home improvement classes. And then with that all under the belt, I actually want to buy a house and start my flipping. So yeah, fixing and flipping.
Awesome. Do you have any advice for anybody that might be watching this? I know that you said that you're pro-minority and pro-female and all that kind of stuff. Anybody that might be out there watching this that might be kind of like, I can't do it.
One thing I used to hate that my teacher told me when I was in college at St. Xavier was, can't should never be in your vocabulary. You always, she was, okay, hold on.
That's right.
We used to bicker back and forth because, I was like, I can't do it, I can't. She was like, you can. She said, what's the first word? I was like, can. And then she was like, okay, That's it. I said, but I cannot. She's like, no. What's the first word? She said, break it apart. She was like, just like when you get in the field, it's going to be broken bones. This is one bone. Focus on the other. No, you focus on this bone, attaching it. And so she was like, you can or you cannot. I said, I cannot. She was like, no. So it got to a point where I started to doubt myself. Like I said, with the whole career change and stuff like that, like if this really was something that I wanted to do. And so every time I came in and I said the word cannot or can't, she ducked the point. I'm like, what? Like, it's just how I talk. Like, man, like, what are you doing? So it got to a point where I went down a whole, I thought she was playing at first, but no, she took me down a whole letter grade. And I'm just like, okay, right, I can. So she like, so Miss Keyanna, Miss Marvelous, like, what are you doing today? Saying I can. So what can you do? Everything. What can't you do? Nothing. But I can do something. She was like, oh yeah. So that's one thing that also inspired me. Like, back to the question. Advice I would have for people: you literally only get one life. So why not live it the way you want to? I know that for me and other people, I'm only in my early 20s, so peer pressure and like what others think of me and others think of you, it may be something that is important also. But at the end of the day, I feel as if if it's something that makes you happy, you should do it. Like I was telling my friend, you're young, even if you're older, like being in these classes, like it ranges. I'm one of the youngest people, and they always tell me all the time, like when they find out my age, they're like, what, you're only 20, I say, and they're like, I'm 40, 50, I say, if I knew, okay, hold on, so you don't have to do a lot of editing. They were like, I'm 40, 47, 58, I wish this was something that I knew for a fact that I wanted to do. Like it was something I knew for a fact I wanted to do, but I wish I wouldn't allow what other people had to say about me or allow other people to push me in a direction that I didn't really want to go in. And so they were like, I'm like, yeah, but even though, you were in a field that you didn't really want to be in, working a job you hated, eventually you're here now. And they was like, yeah, I guess you're right. I guess that. I'm like, yeah, and that's all that matters. Aren't you happy now? They was like, yeah, I'm happy. I've been working at this job for 37 years, but now I'm actually happy. I'm actually glad to get up and go to work. I'm actually glad to wake up like, time to go. Instead of like, 15 more minutes, please, 15 more minutes, things like that. So that's one of the advice. And then another one would be follow your dreams. It's okay to be different, even though, construction or, picking up a trade isn't something that is seen as the norm. It doesn't really matter. Who I tell my niece all the time, like,